everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a massive book unhaul. Before I get into the video, please remember to like it if you enjoy it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and let's get started. So I've recently rearranged my bookshelves, had a clean and had a bit of a clear out as well. So I'm going to go through all the books that I'm going to be getting rid of. So yeah, let's get started because there's a lot of books to get rid of. So the first book I'm going to be getting rid of is this paperback copy of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I don't really know why I bought this. I think I rediscovered the works recently, saw this for quite cheap and bought it. I have read this, I've read the sequel, and I don't really feel the need to own. I'm never going to buy the next. I didn't even read this copy. I borrowed it from a friend, so I don't know why I decided to then buy my own copy, so that can go. And then going to be unhauling The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. Again, a bit like Fourth Wing. I did enjoy this one and I would recommend it, but I'm not going to be collecting the rest of his books. I'm not really a big horror girl, so I don't really feel the need to keep this one, so I'm going to be unhauling it. I'm then going to be getting rid of a series. So we've got The Merciful Crow and The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen. Read this a couple years ago, really enjoyed it. I haven't really thought about it much since. I can't really remember the names of the characters, so I think this can go. It's just taking up too much space on my shelf. The next book is going to be Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. This came in a Fairy Loot. It's a Fairy Loot edition, and to be honest, it's just not really, doesn't really sound like my sort of thing, so I'm just going to be passing this one along. Same with A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. I read maybe like the first 20 or so pages. It's just really not my thing, so this one can go. And then the next one is A Thousand Nights by E.K. Johnson. I read this years ago, back when, like, God, back in maybe like 2014, 2015, and it's like 1001 Night retelling. I think at the time I thought this edition was absolutely stunning, and it actually is, but I haven't really thought about it since. I can't even remember the characters' names or anything like that, so I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. I've just been holding on to it because it's so beautiful, but to be honest with you, books nowadays are a lot more pretty than this. And then a couple of Fairy Loot books that I've read and I'm gonna be unhauling. So we've got If I Have to Be Haunted by Miranda Sun. This was just kind of like a 3-star read for me. It was fun, but I'm never gonna read it and I don't think I'd really recommend it. And then we have Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. This again is a Fairy Loot book. I did really enjoy this one. I think I gave it like a 4 stars when I read it, but the author's not actually going to be continuing this series, so I don't really see why I'm going to keep an unfinished series on my shelf. I certainly wouldn't recommend it now because it's not finished. It's never going to be finished, so yeah, this one can go. We've then got The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. Again, this was like a 3-star read. It was good, it was okay, but I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. Same with Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. Again, a lot of these books I only really read because they came in Fairy Loot and I don't get Fairy Loot anymore. And this was like a 3.5 star, I think I gave this one. It was a good like dystopian, it's an adult one, but yeah, it wasn't really anything special, so this can go. We then have A Feather So Black by Lyra Celine. I haven't even read this one, but to be honest with you, the synopsis just sounds pretty generic. It doesn't really interest me, and also my copy from Fairy Loot, I've only just actually realised, is actually damaged, so like, yeah, so that's a bit shit, but yeah, it just doesn't really interest me, to be honest with you. And then the same with Darker by 4 by June C.L. Tan. I have read a book by this author before. They were also featured in another Fairy Loot box, I think, and that was a good book, but this one just doesn't really interest me. It's like an urban fantasy, which is not really my kind of vibe, so I'm going to be unhauling this one. We then have God Killer by Hannah Kaner. I read this last year and I was actually quite disappointed by it. I gave it like 3 stars and I had no intentions on carrying on with the series. It's such a shame because I think the cover is absolutely stunning, and like, you know, the end page art is also absolutely beautiful, but yeah, it just wasn't for me and I can't keep it just because it's got a pretty cover, so that one can go. Then have a few sort of entire series. So the first one is the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. So that includes the Iron Trial, the Copper Gauntlet, the Bronze Key, the Silver Man and the Golden Tower. I read this quite a few years ago. It's a middle grade series and I haven't really thought about it much since, and it's taken up quite a bit of space on my shelves and I think it can just go elsewhere. It wasn't really that great anyway, I think. We then have This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet by V. Schwab. I read this series quite a few years ago and it was okay. I gave it, I think, like a 3 or 3.5 stars. It's not really my kind of fantasy book and I was only really keeping it to like keep a V. Schwab collection, but I'd rather just keep the books that I actually enjoy from this author. She is sort of like, I either love her or I hate her, and these ones I didn't hate, but they're just not really my favourite, and I'd rather have the space for another series on my shelf. We then have a YA contemporary series that didn't really need to be a series. So we have The Names They Gave Us and The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. I enjoyed the first one when I read it quite a few years ago, but I'm not really into like YA contemporary romance anymore, and yeah, I don't really think, oh actually no, this isn't a series, this is 2 separate books. I think I'll keep these actually. So another series we have is the Delirium series by Lauren Oliver. So that's Delirium, Pandemonium and Requiem. I read these, God, back in like 2013, 2014, and I haven't reread them. I don't really think if I reread them now I would enjoy them. I think at the time it was a very hype series. I've read another book by hers and didn't really enjoy it, so I think it's time to sort of let these ones go. I'm never going to reread them, and I wouldn't actually really recommend them to people because I just don't think it's my kind of thing anymore. So yeah, these ones can go. We then have the Ruby Red trilogy by Kirsten Gier. So you have Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue and Emerald Green. Again, I read these back in like 2014 or something. They're translated from German, so they're not like the best, you know, there's a few like grammatical issues. I think that's just in the translation. But yeah, again, I haven't really thought about these much since. I mean, the covers are absolutely gorgeous, but I don't really think I'd recommend them to people. So I think these ones can go. And then we have the Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Adier. I loved this first book when I first read it, again, probably back in like 2015. I didn't really love the sequel as much, and to be honest with you, I haven't really thought about it since. I don't think if I reread them now I would enjoy them as much, and yeah, I think they can go. The covers are like cute, but not really anything special, so I think these ones can go. They've had their time. Another series that just kind of fits that sort of vibe is the Darkest Minds series by Alexandra Bracken. So we've got the Darkest Minds, Never Fade and In the Afterlight. That's in the wrong way around in my hand. I read these again probably back in like 2015, 2014. They were good. I haven't really thought about them since. I haven't watched the film. I don't want to reread them. And also these are the American editions and they're so fucking heavy. And I just think I don't want to keep them. They've had their day and I think they can go. Okay, so then a few sort of like standalone books I've got. So we've got The Falconer by Elizabeth May. This is like a fantasy romance, back before fantasy romance was really a massive thing. I read this one maybe last year, I think, and it was okay, like 3-star. I'm not going to continue the series. I don't plan on collecting them, and again, this is like the American edition, so it's really heavy, and yeah, I just don't really need this on my shelf. I wouldn't recommend it to people. I then got the Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. I read this for a Halloween reading vlog last year. It was okay. It wasn't really what I was expecting, so therefore I'm going to be unhauling it. I then have Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. This is a YA like thriller, and to be honest with you, I can't really remember what this was about. It was fun at the time, but I'm never going to reread a thriller, so this can go. I then have 2 Casey McQuiston books. So I've got Red, White and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. I did really enjoy both of these when I read them. I think I gave them both like 4 stars. They were fun, but I don't really feel the need to collect her books, and I don't think I'm ever going to reread them, so I think these can go onto another home where people will enjoy them a lot more than me. But yeah, these were good books. I would recommend them, but I just don't feel the need to keep them, to be honest with you. I don't really think about them. Or I then have By Your Side by Casey West. Again, this is like a YA contemporary romance, and it was good at the time. I think I gave it like a 5-star. I don't think it is a 5-star read. I think this can go. It's had its day. We've then got When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I read this one last year, really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to be collecting this series. I'm just going to get them from the library, so I don't really need this copy of one book in a series. Same really for The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I have finished a series, I've started a new series, I'm just going to get them from the library. I don't really feel the need to collect her book. They are really fun, like they're sort of like a 4-3-star read for me, nothing really special. I would recommend this one. This was fun, but I don't really feel the need to keep this one. I then have House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. When I read this back when it was first published in 2019, I think this was a standalone. It's now like a series of standalones, and I'm not really interested in continuing. It's a pretty cover, but like I haven't really thought about it much since I've read it, so I think this one can go. We then have All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. This is a Christmas romance. Oh, just hit myself in the face. This is a Christmas romance book. I picked it up in the works on sale and it was not very good. Wouldn't recommend, so I'm not going to be keeping this one. We then have another Karen M. McManus book, so that's The Cousins. Another sort of YA mystery. Don't really feel the need to keep it. It was okay, nothing really special. Don't feel the need to keep this one. And then Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I read this last year. It was good, 3-star read. YA fantasy is not really for me anymore. I've got the sequel from the library, which I'm going to read to finish out the series, but I don't really feel the need to keep this copy. I think the like original covers were a lot prettier anyway, but yeah, don't really feel the need to keep this one. Okay, and then some more hardbacks. So we have the And I Darken series by Kirsten White. And I Darken, Now I Rise and Bright We Burn. This is a like Vlad the Impaler retelling, but like gender swap. So it was kind of good at the time, but I know that not a lot of people enjoyed it. I personally thought it was like a 3-star, 3.5 star for me. And I've been holding on to the covers because, like, I mean, absolutely stunning. but it takes up a lot of room on my shelf, and it's not a series that I would recommend, or it's not a series that I think I'm ever going to reread. So I think I can't just keep books because they're pretty and they were like a 3-star read. I really want my shelves to be a reflection of books that I really love, and would like, I could come into this room with someone and just pick out books, any book from the shelf to recommend. So yeah. Okay, so those 2 YA romances that I mentioned, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep them though. I am actually going to get rid of them. So The Names They Gave Us and The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. This turned into like a series. These are 2 separate books. I got confused. I really enjoyed them at the time. I haven't thought about them since, so they can go. I don't know why I was like, I'm gonna keep them, like. And then we have the first 2 books in the Eldest Curses series by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. I bought these because they were Shadowhunters books. She hasn't published the 3rd one. It's been like 6 years at this point. I'd have to reread. I'm not really all that interested. I think I'm not done with Shadowhunters, but like I kind of am. I don't know. I don't need a series about every single character in the series, so I think these can go. We then have another sort of like YA contemporary, so I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I enjoyed this at the time. It takes a lot of space on my shelf and I don't think I need to keep it. I think it'd be better off with someone else. Same with The Astonishing Colour of After by Emily X.R. Pan. This is like a magical realism book and I enjoyed it at the time, but I've read quite a few magical realism books since and they're not really my vibe anymore. And like, again, this cover's gorgeous, like the colour palette is stunning, but I'd rather have other stuff on my shelf. I then have a collector's edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Now, I love this book. It's a 5-star read for me. There's a copy there. I have like 2 other special editions and this one's not really all that special, so I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I then have a couple more Fairy Loot books. We've got Blood Scion by Deborah Fillet. I enjoyed this one when I read it. I think if I read it now, I wouldn't enjoy it so much. And I think I read this back in like 2022 and it's 2025. There's no sign of the sequel and I've kind of just given up on that series, so that one can go. And then we have The Year of the Reaper by Kaya Lucia. I really enjoyed this one actually when I read this back in I think maybe 2022, 2023. Yeah, it's just a standalone fantasy. I haven't really thought about it much since, so I don't really feel the need to keep this one. But this was good actually. I would recommend this one. Then another Trisha Levenseller series, we've got Blade of Secrets and Master of Iron. I really enjoyed Blade of Secrets when I read it. I think I gave that one like a 4-star. Master of Iron I gave 3-star. I think if I read it now, I read this a couple of years ago, if I read it now I don't think I'd enjoy it as much and I don't really feel the need to keep them. They are like pretty covers, but I wouldn't really recommend them to people, to be honest with you. We then have Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. Again, I really enjoyed this one. I've been holding on to it because the cover's pretty, but I don't really feel the need to keep this one anymore. I think this would be better in other people's hands, but yeah, I would recommend this one actually. It is really good, but I don't feel the need to keep this on my shelves. Kind of same with Ready Player One. I really enjoyed this one at the time, but I haven't reread it. I think the movie's really good, so if I want this kind of world I just watched the movie. The sequel I didn't really enjoy, I thought it was a bit pointless, and yeah, I don't really feel the need to keep this copy. And then a couple of YA contemporaries again, so we've got Everything by Nicola Yoon. I gave this a 5-star when it first came out. I think this was in like 2015 or something. Yeah, read this back in 2015, gave it a 5-star. I don't think it's a 5-star read and I don't feel the need to keep it anymore. So The Year After You by Nina DePass. I read this back in like 2020 and it was good. If I read it now, I don't think I'd enjoy it. A bit like with most YA sort of contemporary romance, it's not really my thing anymore. Same with The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. Don't really feel the need to keep this one. Then we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was a cute adult romance. It's a cute cover, but I don't think I'd really recommend it. Like I would, it was okay, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't really feel the need to keep it on my shelf. I've then got the Highland Falcon Thief and Kidnap on the California Comet. I'm really not reading middle grade at the moment. I read this first one and it was good, but it's very, very young, and then I bought the sequel and I haven't read it, so I think this can go to someone who's going to enjoy it a lot more than me. Annihilation and Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. I really enjoyed Annihilation when I first read it. Authority I didn't enjoy as much, and then I tried to read the third one, which I can't remember what the name of it is, but I just really couldn't. I'd kind of lost interest in this series now. It's not really my thing to begin with, but it was very hyped up and I did enjoy the first one, but I don't feel the need to keep the series. So I then have Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I really loved her Kiss of Deception series when I read that back in the day. This is like a sequel series that I just don't think was actually very good. I know a lot of people love this series, but it is really not for me, so I don't feel the need to keep these, even though this Cover is stunning. I'm not keeping it on my shelves just because of a pretty cover anymore. Ever the Hunted and Ever the Brave by Erin Summerhill. This is actually part of a trilogy, but the third book I don't think was actually ever published in the UK, so I was never able to finish it. And again, the covers are stunning, but I can't actually even remember these character names, and I never got to finish it, so I therefore can't really recommend it to people. So I don't really feel like I need to keep this. Now on to the last stack. So we've got Everless and Evermore by Sarah Holland. This was good at the time. I think I really enjoyed this one, but not the sequel so much, and I haven't really thought about it since. It can go. I've then got The Vanishing Act by Sarah Ward. This one's not really... This is a third book in a series, which I didn't actually realise when I bought it. I picked it up, I think it was in the works on the like 3 for £6 offer. This is actually a third book in a series, and I don't really feel the need to read the first two, so this one can go. A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I picked this up again in the works, so I thought, oh, it's a cute like Christmassy romance. There's a bit more to the plot that I don't really want to read about, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. And then I have a whole set of Frida McFadden books. So I bought these again in the works on like 3 for £6 offer, and then they're all on bloody Kindle Unlimited. So One by One, Never Lie, The Teacher, The Locked Door, The Co-Worker, The Inmate and The Boyfriend. So I have read Never Lie and The Boyfriend. The rest of them I'm just going to get on Kindle Unlimited. With thrillers, I'm never going to reread them, so unless I really love them, I don't really feel like I need to keep them. So what I might do is, I'm going to say I'm unhauling them. I'm definitely going to unhaul the 2 that I've read, and then I might keep the other ones until I've read them and then unhaul them. So I'm keeping the Housemaid series by her, but yeah, I don't really feel the need to like collect thrillers because I'm never going to reread them. Like, they're fun at the time, but I don't really ever think about them again. Okay, so just a couple more series that I'm going to be unhauling. So I've got the Fairy Loot editions of the Defy the Night trilogy by Bridget Kemmerer. So Defy the Night, Defend the Dawn and Destroy the Day. I do really like Bridget Kemmerer's writing. I really enjoyed her Curse So Dark and Lonely series, read that a couple of years ago, and I've recently been reading the continuation series of that. This one just really wasn't for me. I did enjoy the first one, but the second and the third one just were not very good in my opinion. I don't know if I'm just really not into, I'm just not really into YA fantasy anymore, so these are going to be going. I then also have the Fairy Loot editions of Daughter of the Moon Goddess and Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sulin Tam. Now, I did really enjoy Daughter of the Moon Goddess when I read it back in, I think, like 2022. I'm not sure if I read it now I would enjoy it as much, and when I read the sequel, I think maybe last year or the year before, I really didn't enjoy it, and I was honestly just keeping them because I love the cover of Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and these are gorgeous editions, but I would rather have the space for books that I've actually really loved on my shelf, so these are going to go as well. And then one that I think is going to hurt a lot of people, but I said what I said, Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, the Fairy Loot editions. So Once Upon a Broken Heart, Ballad of Never After and A Curse for True Love. Again, I read the first one back when it was published in like 2021 or 2022, I think it was 2021, and then I read the second and the third book when they came out. Didn't really love them, and yeah, I think the Caraval series was enough of this world for me. I think again, if I read that series now, I probably wouldn't enjoy it so much. I'm just really not into like whimsical fantasy, so yeah, these are hopefully going to go on and find a better home. So yeah, that is all the books I'm going to be unhauling. I will count them up and I will put a number either side of me of how many books I am unhauling. So that's it for today's video. Please let me know if you've read any of these books, what you think. I'm not gonna, you can't change my mind, I'm not gonna keep any of these, but I'd love to know if you guys like agree with me, disagree with me. But yeah, that's it for today's video. So please like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.